everybody, it's Janelle Waz, and welcome back to another episode of Treknalysis. Captain Picard, the diplomat in times of peace. Captain Sisko, the leader in times of war. And suffice to say that with both Deep Space Nine and the Next Generation as my top Star Trek shows, it's only natural that Picard and Sisko top my Star Trek captain ranking list. Nevertheless, I wasn't always a fan of Benjamin the Emissary Sisko. It actually took me quite a while to even like him. Why exactly? Well,
we met before. We met in battle. I was on the Saratoga at Wolf 359.
Oof, not exactly the best first impression there, Ben. Now, as someone who really likes Picard, as I'm sure many Next Gen viewers did when they first tuned into DS9, Sisko's behavior really rubbed me the wrong way when he first met Picard, especially given the full context of what Picard endured during the time of Wolf 359. But that's what I'm going to talk about today, how I learned to stop worrying and love the Sisko.
Good luck, Mr. Sisko.
But before I go any further, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I talk a lot about Star Trek, video games, and whatever else I feel like talking about. Be great to have you aboard. So how exactly did Sisko and Picard get here? Well, it all started way back in Season 3 of Next Gen with the best of both worlds, about 3 years before DS9. The Borg are coming, the Federation isn't ready, and if things weren't bad enough, the Federation's most British French captain is captured by the Borg. Apparently, the Borg want that fine British accent and professional bald head to serve as their mouthpiece to assimilate Earth, lend them a little credibility. Picard is, suffice to say, less than enthused about the whole idea.
I have nothing to say to you, and I will resist you with my last ounce of strength.
The Borg, however, have other plans and assimilate Picard, naming him Locutus of Borg.
I am Locutus of Borg.
With Riker in command of the Enterprise, the bearded commander makes the call to end Season 3 in one of Trek's greatest cliffhangers.
Mr. Worf, fire.
One summer of 1990 later, and Riker's
Mr. Worf, fire.
did nothing.
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
With barely a scratch on them, the Borg take off with Picard and all his knowledge and head towards Earth. The Enterprise is stuck making repairs while the rest of the Federation fleet heads to intercept the Borg. We do get a glimpse of Picard's continuing assimilation, increasingly becoming more and more Borg, but shedding one single tear. The humanity that is Picard is still there, aware of exactly what's happening and powerless to stop it. The Enterprise finally makes its repairs and heads over to join the Federation fleet at Wolf 359. And things did not go well. The entire fleet has been destroyed, 39 ships and nearly 11,000 lives lost.
Just how many of our ships were lost? 39, and a loss of life, I believe, measured at nearly 11,000.
Let's come back to this a little later, shall we? Worf and Data manage to recapture Picard, and Beverly, Troy, and Data attempt to break his connection to the Borg Collective. It proves difficult initially, but that shred of humanity that is Picard is able to establish contact with Data and give him exactly what they need to stop the Borg from assimilating Earth.
I put them all to sleep.
To sleep?
Picard has been restored, but it's apparent that deep wounds remain from his experience with the Borg.
How much do you remember? Everything.
As a model Starfleet captain, Picard puts up a strong front to everyone, first to Troy, and later to his brother Robert and his family when he visits them at his childhood home in Le Bar, France. So, suffice to say, when he begins considering leaving Starfleet, it comes from out of the blue to a lot of people.
I know, you'd never leave Starfleet.
No, I'd never leave Starfleet. Lewis mentioned that the Atlantis project needed a director, and I found myself actually thinking about it.
In a way, he's trying to avoid confronting what happened to him by leaving Starfleet. It isn't until Robert pushes him, in a way only a brother could, into a puddle of mud that is, that Picard finally breaks down and acknowledges what happened to him and his guilt over not being able to stop any of it. The distant, stoic captain is human after all. A man broken by what happened to him. Gee, if only he had a counselor he could work all this out with. Oh, wait.
I'm better.
Interesting.
Is it just me, or do you also get the sense that almost anyone could make a better counselor than Troy? For all your training, Deanna, it was Robert that got Picard to confront his PTSD and start to heal. The mud fight did Jean-Luc some good, and he returns to the Enterprise as captain, remaining among the stars with Starfleet. The years pass, and Picard meets a young commander assigned to Deep Space Nine, and...
It was on the Saratoga at Wolf 359.
That's right. DS9 starts with a flashback of Sisko on the bridge of his ship, the Saratoga, at Wolf 359, coming face to face, or more accurately screen to screen, with Locutus before the Saratoga gets absolutely shredded. And one of the casualties? Sisko's wife, Jennifer. Heck, their son Jake barely got out alive. Ben desperately tried to lift the fallen beams off Jennifer, but she was already gone. He even had to be physically dragged away from her to safety.
Damn it! We just can't leave her here!
Raising a son alone and in the depths of grief, Ben is assigned to command DS9 3 years later, where he comes face to face with Picard, where he's understandably hostile towards the Earl Grey guzzling captain. However, even knowing what Ben's been through doesn't make this scene any easier to watch. The way I see it, Picard and Sisko are both victims of the Borg, both with trauma so deep that they both considered leaving Starfleet over it. Sisko was a victim of the Borg because they killed his wife, and Picard was a victim because he was taken against his will and forcibly assimilated. Yes, you could argue that Picard was responsible for Wolf 359 and ultimately Jennifer's death because he was Locutus at the time, but at the same time, he was still a victim of the Borg and not responsible because he wasn't in control of what he was doing. The Borg were. And even more heartbreaking is that he remembers everything. He remembers everything he did as Locutus and that he couldn't stop any of it.
He used me to kill and to destroy, and I couldn't stop them. I should have been able to stop them.
Again, I totally get where Sisko's coming from, and it's definitely a crap situation. But this scene is still hard to watch because it's like he's placing blame on a fellow victim of the Borg. Heck, when you think about it, these two have a lot in common. Wolf 359 left deep scars on both men, and they both go through a grieving process. The Borg took away something from both men, altering them forever.
They took everything I was, and I have never figured out how to live without her.
Both men also try to run from Starfleet to escape the pain of their loss, only to confront it later on, Picard with Robert in the mud fight, and Sisko with the Prophets. Some of the best scenes in Star Trek, I might add. Wonderfully acted scenes. And they both ultimately decide to stay in Starfleet, learning to live with their loss. Heck, both men feel a strong anger towards the Borg. Sure, there's Sisko's hostility towards Picard, but if you thought that was hostile... Both men share a common enemy, so to see Sisko lash out at Picard, who also went through grief and loss, it's tough to watch. Now, I spent a lot of time defending Picard here, so let me take a few minutes to defend Sisko, because over the years, I have softened to Sisko in this scene. Sisko's feelings are thoroughly understandable, even justified. Even if he read the reports about what happened to Picard, he still sees Picard as Locutus, the one who killed his wife. That's not easy to get over, even years later. His wife was taken from him, and he couldn't do anything to save her. Heck, he was prepared to die with her before being dragged away. He was left to raise Jake alone while still fulfilling his duties as a Starfleet officer, which isn't an easy feat. Heck, he still did a great job with Jake. Jake's a good kid. Ben carried his grief around with him ever since Wolf 359. He never left the Saratoga. He never left the spot Jennifer died.
You exist here.
I exist here.
Like Picard, he too breaks down and confronts his grief, and it's only then that he's able to move past it. I do think Sisko was at a disadvantage with the audience because the audience already loved Picard and saw his recovery from the Borg. Heck, it's because of his breakdown during Family, one of my favorite episodes in Trek, that made it difficult for me to like Sisko at first. I kinda wish Picard addressed Wolf 359 during this scene, but it probably wouldn't have been in character for him. He's a professional guy, and he maintains his distant professionalism. Avery Brooks's performance as the show goes on did win me over. He's a good father to Jake, and some of the show's most heartwarming moments are Ben and Jake moments. He comes across as a regular guy. He likes watching baseball, he eats hot dogs, he loves cooking delicious food. He just also happens to be a total badass. He's charismatic, and watching him speak with perfect diction when he's angry is a sight to behold.
Now, we may not be able to get you for selling weapons, but you so much as litter on the promenade, and I will nail you to the wall.
But, yeah, his first meeting with Picard was hard to watch, even though I understood where he was coming from. I do like that by the end of the episode, Sisko and Picard part on somewhat amicable terms. It also makes me wish that we got at least one more episode between these two where they can really hash out their issues with the Borg and Wolf 359. But alas, we just have Emissary to content ourselves with, and it's a good episode. At any rate, I like that DS9 addressed one of the consequences of Wolf 359 and had Picard come face to face with one of the survivors. And Sisko was so good of a character that not only was I able to get past his initial hostility towards Picard, but that he even proved himself to be on par with Picard.
You look out the window of Starfleet headquarters and you see paradise. Well, it's easy to be a saint in paradise, but the Maquis do not live in paradise.
So what do you think? What were your first impressions of Sisko? Did you like him from the start? Did his first meeting with Picard rub you the wrong way, or were you more sympathetic to him and his situation? And what was some of your favorite episodes out of the episodes I talked about in this video? All great episodes, by the way. Please, leave comments below and discuss. As always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Treknalysis. If you like what you see, why not give my video a like and subscribe to my channel? Tell your friends! Until next time,
I'm not Picard.